Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Classified Captures. In today's episode, we'll be showcasing some never-before-seen, spine-chilling, and quite frankly, disturbing trail cam footage you won't want to miss. If you love a thrill and all things mysterious, stay till the end and you'll find yourself greatly satisfied. We start off today's compilation with a capture which, although excites me, still sends chills down my spine. Take a look at this image that was captured by a trail cam set up in the woods. Do you see it? Can you make out what that is? We catch a glimpse of a mysterious creature, dark fur glistening, standing upright on two legs. It appears reminiscent of a dog, yet it possesses human-like arms and legs. As much as its face bears a striking resemblance to our domestic friends, you don't need to be a genius to know it's not one of them. In fact, I don't think this creature will roll over and settle for a pet when you encounter him. It would be a miracle if you made it out of this particular meet and greet without a scratch. It doesn't look like an ordinary beast that we know of. Could it be a Bigfoot? If you thought that due to its sheer size and posture, I understand, but Bigfoot has never been known to have the face of a canine. Only one creature has, the Dogman. Could we essentially be looking at a real-life Dogman? If we are, well, that's crazy. But then again, there is no other explanation for what we see before us. Unless, of course, that's just a man in a costume, but that's even a hard pill to swallow because it looks so real. But what do you think? Is this real, or are we dealing with someone playing with the feelings of the paranormal community? Next, we have another mysterious video which features yet another sighting of a cryptid. The creature appears to be walking away from the camera, but you can still make out its features. Just like the previous image, this creature has dark fur and walks on 2 feet. Unlike the previous footage, however, this beast looks more like a bear. You and I, however, know that bears don't have this posture. I'm sure my paranormal geeks already guessed, though. Yes, it's a Bigfoot. Bigfoots are quite famous in the mythical world. Though there are no official reports of them ever being caught, many have captured glimpses of them from afar on their cams. In most encounters, the creature is either lurking or unaware. Those who have had close encounters with them have never been able to capture clear videos. You have to understand that their intimidating presence up close is enough to make anyone forget about trying to take a picture or a video. The only evidence those who have had such encounters have is the word of mouth. The Bigfoot mystery continually excites the paranormal community even today. But what's your take? Are they real or simply exaggerated folklore? Speaking of mysteries, here is another one. This trail cam footage captured something sinister. As you can see, a fox is innocently scarfing down food left in a bowl, probably by the owner of the trail cam. But watch what happens next. Did you see that? Something swoops in and snatches the fox away. As you know, foxes are notorious for their slyness, agility, and alertness, making it nearly impossible to sneak up on them. In this footage, the fox remains completely unaware as something swiftly takes it away. It looks like a big, hairy hand. This doesn't make any sense because the predators in the wild do not have hands that big to snatch a fox. Ordinarily, predators would typically rely on scratching or using their teeth, but that doesn't match what we see in the footage. It's just suddenly swooped up. Could it have been taken by a creature with human-like hands? Something that's a hybrid, say a werewolf? That's an exciting thought, but then again, it'll have to be a really huge giant to swoop it up like that, which is almost impossible. Could it be something smaller and practical, say an owl? Share your thoughts with me in the comment section. Can you think of a more defenseless animal than a deer? You can't, can you? They easily fall prey to most predators and are typically their go-to food. They've no claws, and the only way they survive is to depend on their good hearing and swift hooves. And even that is not enough because they still end up on a dinner table. Because of this, deers have this screeching sound they make to warn others when they sense danger from afar. As you can hear, this deer appears to be crying out in the dark. It seems to have been scared by something out there, but unlike the fight instinct of its nature, this deer is still standing in its position, screeching out a warning to the rest. What could have possibly scared poor Bambi? Next, we have these mysterious tracks from a riverside. Which creature do you think they belong to? Certainly, they're much bigger than the humans, and whatever it was that left that track has to have been quite heavy as well, because they're quite deep. If you pay attention to the capture, you'll realize that there is a second print in the sand to the left of the foot tracks that looks like partial prints of a hands of whatever creature was responsible for the footprint. Experts who reviewed the image state they could see the print of a weasel on the foot track in the image. Using this, they measured the tracks to be between 18 to 20 feet. Can you think of any creature with hands and feet that ginormous? Yes, Bigfoot. I guess the tracks are not so mysterious after all. For our next capture, we have good old Bigfoot, the paranormal celebrity. Although we would have loved complete footage of the creature, the trail cam only managed to capture its backside. It seems to have a human-like gait and comfortably moves through its surroundings without care. You don't have to be a genius to know that it's probably this confident because it's close to its home. These observations raise several questions. Does Bigfoot live alone? Is it dangerous? And how old might it be? These creatures are now household names in all things paranormal. There is no conversation in the community without them coming up. One characteristic they all seem to share is their affinity for roaming the woods or observing people from a safe distance. Sometimes I wonder if they can talk or communicate like humans, since they have human features. Well, I guess we'll never find out because no one has been brave enough to have a conversation with these enigmatic beings. Until that happens, they will remain the mystery that they are. Still on Bigfoot, we have this footage taken by an explorer in a cave. As with all his expeditions, he'd hoped to find something interesting. Instead, he was met with an eerie presence he couldn't quite discern. After exploring the surroundings, he finally pinpointed the source of the eerie feeling. Within the darkness, he discovered not just one, but 4 beings. Their eyes glistened in the dark as they stared back at him. Although it was dark, he could tell that those eyes belonged to large creatures, much larger than he was. Frightened, he ran away, leaving all his gadgets behind. He returned later with some team members to investigate, but the creatures had vanished. He reviewed the footage he'd recorded and saw what you see on your screen. Those eyes, the dark fur, and their size. He was convinced they were a family of Bigfoot. If you ask me, it's not impossible, but what do you think of the images? When you have intruders come into your home, you call the cops, or if you're brave enough, you face them. But guess who, or should I say what, this homeowner caught on a trail cam he set up to catch an intruder? Take a look. Did you see that? A white figure hovering back and forth. Instead of capturing a person or an animal, the trail cam caught something else, an ethereal entity, dare I say, a ghost, gliding among the trees. Now, how does he deal with this trespassing issue? Does he call the cops and say, "I have a ghost on my property"? Or does he call a priest to exorcise it and bless the land? But you've got to wonder, why is there a ghost on the property? Was someone killed there? After all, ghosts are known to roam in the area. They were murdered when they were human. What do you think about the whole thing, though? Next, we visit Montana for a suspected Bigfoot sighting. The locals have long considered this area a Bigfoot hotspot, but none have dared to venture into the woods to capture videos of these creatures, and the reason is simple: fear. And who can blame them? Take a look at the video. Can you see it? Just behind those trees, an ape-like creature seems to be staring directly at the person behind the camera. A According to the person who uploaded the footage, even though they filmed the creature from a distance, the tallest one measures at least 10 feet, while the smallest stood at 7 feet. The one you're seeing on your screen is the smallest of the group. Take a closer look. It's no wonder why the locals have chosen to stay away from these creatures. While it doesn't appear to have any interest in those filming, just imagine if it actually intended to harm them. The potential consequences could be disastrous, or maybe I'm just overthinking things. What say you? Next, we visit the woodlands of Wisconsin. How many creatures do you know that can and would stalk a coyote? Well, now that I think about it, there are quite a few creatures capable of stalking a coyote. However, they'd have to be predators themselves, right? Well, take a look at this footage. In the footage, we witness a coyote going about its usual routine when suddenly 2 eyes appear on the left side of the screen. The coyote notices the presence too and turns around, fixing its gaze on the same exact spot. What was it? A cryptid? A human? Another large animal? Well, we can't say for sure, but what say you? Do you think there was really something there, or is this merely a clever edit meant to throw us off? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. The concept of the supernatural and extraterrestrial beings is nothing new to humans, but coming face to face with one, however, is another story. There are not a lot of people in this world who have experienced these creatures, but those who claim to have done so are often left terrified and scared for life. They describe these creatures as being horrifying and are typically led to these creatures by one thing: curiosity. Now take a look at this footage taken by a homeowner in the backyard one night. He heard weird noises and went to check it out, only to come face to face with this being. It's hard to tell if this thing is an alien or some kind of demon because, to be honest, it looks like it could belong to both categories. The creature is very dark, with small glowing eyes, and stares into the camera, or rather the person holding the camera, as though it were looking into their soul. Its big head, while perched on the tree branch, looks creepy as well. I'm amazed the individual didn't just drop the camera and run inside. Think that was scary? Take a look at this next footage. It was taken on a ranch in Mexico. If you're part of the paranormal community, then you should know that if Mexico is known for anything, it's that it's a hotspot for alien sightings. This is because of various appearances and alleged sightings of UFOs. Notable is the Roswell incident, where debris of glass-like materials was found, which are believed to be broken parts of a flying disc, which is essentially an alien airship. So the discovery of this creature was not much of a surprise to the residents, however. Its appearance is quite freaky. The creature looks to have pinkish skin and is naked. It's humanoid except for the head, which is very small and disproportional to its body. Its legs and neck are also very long as well. Whatever that creature was doing out there, no one knows, but upon realizing that it was being filmed, it jumped off the rooftop it was on and fled. Some paranormal enthusiasts who saw it believe it may be an alien. Others thought it was Slender Man, whilst a small fraction of the community thought it was a science experiment gone wrong. Personally, I think we may be looking at a CGI creation, but what do you think? Who, or should I say what, is that? This creature was captured on a trail cam and the uploader didn't know what to make of it. It's a humanoid who stands about 6 feet tall but is wearing a dress. It has long black hair and looks somewhat like an ape in that dress. The arms are hairless and have what looks like veins popping out. And the face, oh my goodness, that's hideous. Not sure I've called any creature hideous, but that one scares me. Upon closer inspection, those are definitely not human arms or an ape's. As much as I'd like to call it an ape, I'd say it doesn't quite fully fit the bill. It looks scary at first, but the more I look at it, the more I'm led to think and believe that it looks like a human in a costume. What do you think, though? What creature do you think this is? Tell us in the comments section. Next, we have this bizarre footage of a creature crawling out of a cave in the woods. Even the experienced cave explorers who captured the footage were left astounded and had never encountered anything like it before. It appears to have the head of an octopus, though its full body is still hidden. The creature has bony arms with claw-like appendages resembling something out of an extraterrestrial realm. If this does not scream alien and extraterrestrial, well, I don't know what does. Many have long disputed the existence of aliens, with some scientists calling the assertion a ridiculous one. But how do you explain this? There's simply no explanation. It doesn't look like any creature we know, and quite frankly, something like this should not exist, unless this footage has been manipulated or edited, which seems unlikely. There's been no official word on the footage, and all attempts to get one have simply been ignored and swept under the rug. Scientists who've opened up cannot identify the creature and believe it's some kind of alien. With all these sightings and talks of UFOs, this creature being an alien is not far-fetched. Tell us what you think of this creature in the comments below. This is the Kiev Bridge in Ukraine. Do you spot anything odd in this footage? Now, direct your attention below the bridge. Do you notice something peculiar? Behold, a creature boldly crawling upside down along the bridge. It's not a human because no human would attempt this circus show without a ladder, lift, or a harness unless it was a suicide attempt, which this does not appear to be. Could this be some kind of humanoid roaming in the streets? The emergence of weird creatures over the years has left a lot of room for speculation whenever rare things like this occur. Now, some may argue it's an ape, but personally I'm leaning toward the possibility of it being a cryptid, an elusive creature that defies conventional understanding. What do you think? Next, we have this apparent ghost footage that was sent out to us by an individual out exploring on a snowy night. According to him, he sensed a presence stalking him in the dark and quickly grabbed his phone, turning on the flashlights to capture the moment. Suddenly, he felt the creature's presence shift behind a tree, concealing itself. Now, if I were in that situation, I would have sprinted for dear life, but this guy, well, he had other plans. Believe it or not, he decided it would be a great idea to chase after the mysterious creature and document it. With determination, he located the tree and captured a video of the creature. Brace yourself, for I'm not sure how you're going to take this, and behold, the moment of truth. See it? Yes, that scary-looking, cute creature is the ghost the individual was very scared of. Confused? Don't worry. It seems the cold, dark night played tricks on his senses, turning a harmless puppy into a bone-chilling phantom. Thankfully, it was just an adorable pup braving the cold alongside him. How would you have reacted if you were in his shoes? Would you have laughed at the realization, or would you have assumed that you were dealing with a skinwalker that had just changed form? Tell us in the comments section. Next, we have something that you should really be afraid of. The footage starts with a mysterious creature peeking from behind a tree. It's a humanoid creature, but unlike the ones we've already reviewed today, this one is not ape-like. Instead, it's feline or cat-like. It has a human-like body with a tail and fur to match. Dark, human-like hair adorns its head as it casts a careful gaze in the direction of the camera. One important detail to note is that this footage was captured using a phone, not a trail camera, indicating that the creature is aware of the person behind the lens. Now, here's the million-dollar question. Was it preparing to strike or simply driven by curiosity? Honestly, we can't say for sure. Now, if this creature shares any traits with the domestic cats we keep as pets, you know it would be as unpredictable as they come. As scary as the footage is, there's one question we need to ask. Is this real? Now, as much as I'd love for a creature like this to be real, I have to admit it doesn't quite seem genuine. It appears to be CGI cleverly disguised as the real deal, but those are just my thoughts. What are your impressions? Take a look at this footage. Notice how the trees are shaking. What do you think could be responsible? It's clear that the usual suspects, machines or animals, can't be behind this phenomenon. It's unlikely the winds alone are responsible since they wouldn't selectively target just one tree. What then could be responsible? Well, you know who I'm thinking of, right? There is one creature large and strong enough to shake a tree that huge. Bigfoot. Legends describe Bigfoot as a towering 10-foot creature possessing an unparalleled mass and strength. Just imagine a 10-foot, 900-pound behemoth tugging at a tree. It's no wonder the video shows the tree shaking uncomfortably. But what do you think? Still on Bigfoot and trees, let's take a trip to Mississippi. Take a look at this footage from 2015. In this footage, we catch a glimpse of an enigmatic ape-like creature meticulously tending to a tree. The creature's actions remain a mystery, but one thing is clear: it displayed an unwavering focus and determination to complete its task. Unbeknownst to the creature, a man was quietly filming from behind, unnoticed due to its intense concentration on the task at hand. Now, if you're a regular here, you know my advice: when encountering a strange and unknown creature, it's best to keep your distance. Who knows what they're capable of? Sadly, not everyone heeds my advice, and this man came dangerously close to paying the ultimate price. Initially, the creature's size may not seem remarkable, but soon the reason becomes apparent. In a surprising turn, we discover that the creature was actually initially seated, and once it rises, it reveals its full height and astonishing size. It was at this point it realized that the owner of this footage was filming him, and he gives him a chase. We don't see the creature, but we hear its footsteps. How the owner of the footage survived is still a mystery, but what do you think? Are we dealing with the real thing here, or is that just a gorilla or some other form of ape? Could this entire encounter be an elaborate hoax? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. People set up trail cams to capture wildlife. Sometimes these trail cams capture insane footage and situations in the wild that never cross our imaginations. One such is this crime scene you are currently seeing. Looking at this image, you might probably be wondering what happened here. It's not always that you see a predator and prey lying dead in the wild, especially when it's evident that the predator was after the prey. Typically, one of three things is likely to happen when a predator goes after its prey. The first and most likely scenario is that the prey becomes its lunch. The second scenario is where the prey escapes, and the third scenario, which rarely happens, is that the prey stands its ground and forces the predator to retreat. Something like this scene from Tom and Jerry that says a cornered mouse never fights. Looking at this capture, however, it looks like neither of these three happened. Both predator and prey are dead. As much as we would have loved to see the whole thing play out, we only have access to this image. Nevertheless, there are clues left in the scene that could help us find out what happened, as long as we activate our inner Sherlock Holmes. Based on the clues from the scene, the coyote went after the raccoon, hoping to eat it for dinner. Naturally, the raccoon fled for its dear life and went up the tree with the coyote in pursuit. Just when it looked like the raccoon was finally in the grasp of the coyote, luck smiled at it, and the coyote's paw got stuck in the trunk of the tree. All things being equal, this should have made it possible for the raccoon to escape, but that's easier said than done given the situation. Fearing it might be eaten if it came down, the raccoon remained in the tree. The coyote also tried to get its paw out. It gnawed and scratched the bark off the tree, but with no luck. It even tried gnawing its paw when it got desperate, but that too did not work. The animals then were locked in this situation until they both perished. At least, that's what we think. What about you? Have you ever seen a man killer? Well, we start today's video with one. The image you see on your screen is a capture that the uploader believed was a cryptid. If you have been following this channel for a very long time, then you should know what we mean when we say cryptid. It refers to creatures like Bigfoot and Dogman and what have you. Upon closer examination of this image, it becomes apparent why. While the creature may look like the American black bear, there are some differences. It has longer limbs and a longer face and seems to be capable of walking on its hind legs. Could we be looking at another type of cryptid never seen before? Although it's tempting to embrace the excitement of the paranormal community and declare a new cryptid, a simple Google image search reveals that this is a Mexican black bear. It's the cousin of the American black bear and is known to possess the features seen in the image. In other words, there's nothing weird or odd happening here. Although the first capture could be explained, we can't say the same for this footage. This was captured by individuals who were going through a path in the woods, hoping to capture glimpses of wildlife. As they drove deeper into the woods, spending a considerable amount of time, it seems that their hopes of spotting any wildlife were dwindling. Just as their hopes were fading, they spot something odd-looking in the distance. It looks like a creature covered in abundant fur, but here's the kicker. It's strolling on 2 feet, just like us humans. Even the nimblest chimps can't manage the grace and fluidity with which this creature moves. Stunned, they yearn to approach the creature for a closer look, but alas, it vanished from their sight, leaving an indelible mark on their minds. They get close and stop at the exact spot where they lost sight of the creature. At that moment, the realization dawned upon them. The creature had vanished into the woods. However, despite their intense curiosity, none of them mustered the courage to venture deeper in search of answers. I can't say I blame them given the odd-looking nature of what they'd seen. I'd be apprehensive too. But I want answers. What exactly was that? My team and I delved into research and made a fascinating discovery. The footage hails from New England in North America. Now, if you're familiar with the paranormal community, you'll know that this region is renowned for its numerous Bigfoot sightings. This leads us to a burning question. Had they narrowly missed seeing Bigfoot in its full glory? Tell us what you think in the comments section. Next up, we have this capture from central Kentucky. It comes from a driver whose curiosity had exposed him to more than he'd anticipated and thought he could handle. Under the cover of the night, he decided to embark on a woodland escapade seeking a thrilling adventure. Little did he know, his exploration would lead him to an eerie and inexplicable sight, captured right before your eyes. It was a carcass of a creature he initially thought was a bear. He took a picture and got home, only to realize that it might not be a bear at all. If you look closely, you'll see a head that doesn't look canine in the least, a hunchback and a foot. He thought he'd discovered something interesting, a Bigfoot. That's how he, at least, uploaded it online. But is that really a Bigfoot? Admittedly, the head doesn't resemble that of a bear, but could decomposition be distorting its appearance? The same applies to the feet. They too show signs of decomposition. For the feet, bears do have feet as well, with 5 toes equipped with strong claws. The hunchback could only be because of its lying position. But what do you think? Bear or Bigfoot? How would you respond when Google Street View shows you pictures of a suspicious-looking man in a mask, kneeling, instead of the remote serene woods you're hoping to see? Well, for the owner of the image, this is no hypothetical question. Google uses different methods and technology to make sure you get the best of its application, like Maps, Earth, and even the Street View. How then does something like this end up on Google Street View? Could there have been an error, or did the application actually capture a wicked and suspicious-looking man out there? Assuming the man is real, could it be cosplay, or is there a dangerous and possibly wicked, heartless man out there in the woods taking lives? While we may not know the exact location to verify this, what do you personally think? Is this real, or is it simply a hoax? This was supposed to be trail cam capture of foxes and other small predators. Instead, it ended up being something more. If you carefully pay attention to the footage playing, you'd realize that aside from the canine we see in the foreground, there were 2 sets of eyes that appeared and then disappeared in an unnatural and eerie way. Did you catch that? What do you think it is? Could it be just another predator stalking the fox, or is there a night creature out there hiding from the camera? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Now we visit a country we haven't been to before, Costa Rica. While this sounds like a tropical paradise, do not be deceived. There are creatures that lurk in the dark. Don't believe me? Watch this footage. Did you see that? In the footage, we hear and see the dogs barking. While you might be tempted to think it's normal dog behavior, you realize it's not when you pay attention to the footage. The dogs are not just barking for the sake of it. Instead, they seem to be barking at something in the dark. Whatever it is, it soon shows itself in the dark and walks or crawls or whatever it's doing into the frame. Not only is this creature weird looking, but it also moves weirdly. What could it be? It's hard to say. I mean, have you ever seen anything like it? It's like a bizarre blend of spider and crab, judging by its movements and appearance. The creature is so odd that I was tempted to think it's a fake. That was until we came across a different angle of the same footage on TikTok. This one was taken by individuals and not a security cam. Even though we can't comprehend their words, one thing is clear. It's the same street and the creature is lurking in the far distance. Does that mean the footage is real? We'll leave that up to you to judge. Disclaimer, this next capture may be the most disturbing on our list. If you don't have the stomach for it, you might want to skip ahead by 30 seconds. If you can hear me, then you decided to listen, but I pray this does not become a thing you end up regretting. For our next trail cam, we travel all the way to Canada, not for the cold weather, but for the cold-hearted woman you see in the capture. Yes, those are naked women feasting on a dead deer. The one who captured this had set up a trail camera near the carcass of a deer in hopes of capturing predators feasting on it. Little did she expect that instead of predators, two partially naked women would emerge from the darkness to partake in the feast. Could they be witches simply having their dinner, or could there be something more sinister happening here? Perhaps an initiation or ritual to a cult. No one knows, but the story and footage have spooked all who have heard it. Are you one of those? Stepping away from that dark and quite frankly very disturbing footage, we have this rare capture of a Bigfoot that was even featured on TV in 2014. Just like all other Bigfoot captures, this creature has an ape-like body yet a very human-like gait. Unlike other Bigfoot footage, this capture is remarkably close to the camera, providing a more detailed, albeit blurry view. As we can see from the capture, the creature moves quickly, but we get a good look at its body. It doesn't look like a suit, and neither does it look like CGI. Considering the technological limitations of the time, CGI would have been incredibly challenging. Moreover, the positioning of shadows and other details in the footage appears to be consistent. The paranormal community and even some non-believers believe this is the real deal. What do you think? Next, we have another Bigfoot capture from the Washington Peninsula. This is a more recent capture that is as recent as either 2021 or 2022. In the capture, we see an ape-like creature moving through the woods. You don't need me to tell you at this time that it has a human-like gait as well, but it does. Before you throw this out of the window and disprove it, the uploader added more details, including having seen it multiple times and heard it talk. Yes, you heard me right. They heard the creature talk, although he can't confirm the words were intelligible. He went back to the same area and found these large footprints. Yes, you don't need me to tell you they belong to the Bigfoot. It's literally in the name. Not only were they large, but deep too, to show that the creature was quite heavy. He went back again when it started snowing and found these footprints. These were found 10 miles from the Canadian border, which should tell you how dedicated the man was to finding Bigfoot. These discoveries suggest that Bigfoot is more mobile than we once believed, unless, of course, there are multiple creatures roaming the Washington area. What do you think, though? A profound find or a questionable one? Our final video for the day is another Bigfoot. The footage was captured in the woods and shows an ape-like creature casually moving through the woods. Unlike the other Bigfoot footage seen, this one is a bit controversial to me. The dark fur looks like a coat or suit, and the being moves like a human with human body proportions. What do you think though, real or fake? Tell us in the comments section. This next footage is something else. A cameraman was filming what looked like a monkey in the woods, but things quickly took a terrifying turn. The creature, which appeared to be a monkey at first glance, suddenly spotted the cameraman and began chasing after him. The cameraman's shaky footage makes it hard to get a clear look, but one thing is for sure, this is no ordinary monkey. The creature moves with an eerie swiftness on all fours, with legs that seem almost human but not quite upright. And if the cameraman's reaction is anything to go by, it's clear that this creature is something to be feared. Could it be the famed dogman known to lurk in those woods waiting to pounce on unsuspecting prey? Could it be another Bigfoot sighting? Or could it simply be an ape encounter that has been exaggerated? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section. A deer hunter in Virginia caught footage of a little creature snooping about in the hunting areas on his trail cam. The hunter was a little spooked by the image, so he called in the Sasquatch experts to have a look at it. Yes, there is such a thing as a Sasquatch expert. The image was taken prior to the hunting season when hunters set up their trail cams to gather footage of deer within their hunting areas. The owner picked up the footage expecting something like the usual, only to see this brown bear-like creature that shares some resemblance with Bigfoot or Bigfoot-like creatures that look like bears. It's a matter of perspective, really. The dark-furred creature appears to have its back facing the camera. At first glance, it looks like a chimp or even a bear cub. But this hunter believes that it might be a Sasquatch, as others like to call it Bigfoot. The mystery deepens as even the experts scratch their heads over the strange creature caught on the Virginia hunter's trail cam. Is it a chimp, a bear cub, or could it possibly be a juvenile Bigfoot? The dog fur and odd proportions have left everyone stumped. It could also be a hybrid of these suspected animals. The hunter had never seen anything like it in all his years of tracking deer, and now he was left wondering what else might be lurking in the woods. One thing is for sure, this little creature has everyone on edge and questioning what other secrets the forest might be hiding. The next footage will leave your mind blown. Mine is still blown from it. You don't need to be a scientist to know the creature is a camel. If you couldn't name it, then probably you should visit your primary school. But if that's a camel, why does it look like it doesn't have a head? Is that even possible? How would it eat and breathe? How would it navigate its environment? To be fair, however, the headless creature seems to be moving around just fine. I mean, it could just be an edited video, but with all these recent sightings of weird things, I will still leave some space to assume that this might actually be true. You never know what creatures are lurking in the shadows waiting to be found. How far is too far? How far will a desperate mother go for her children? Well, we find the answer in this footage. No mother likes to see her children suffer, and this mama bear couldn't bear to watch her cubs hungry. Naturally, she's on the hunt for anything that can qualify as food, so she feeds them. Her cubs hide out in the tree while she's out hunting. But this is where things get unfortunate. Mama deer had also left her fawn in a space she thought was safe to go graze so she could have some milk for her fawn. Only she didn't know that would be the last time she saw her fawn. The mother bear noticed the fawn and wasted no time in going after it. Although probably weighing up to 500 pounds, she ran after the fawn, though it was nothing and easily to get hold of. She'd rather other people's kids die rather than hers. Sounds messed up, but probably what many other mothers would have done. Yes, the fawn did put up a good fight, technically a chase, but there was simply no way it was going to outrun a bear. Unlucky. But I guess that's the circle of life after all. Speaking of crimes, this next capture showcases an attempted murder. Without evidence, we unfortunately can't say for sure. Monsieur Pussycat was enjoying his night, taking a stroll, hunting some prey and feeling the breeze when all of a sudden, Madame Owl attacked him for no reason. Given the fact that he had no items of value on him, he soon realized it had little to do with his possessions and more to do with his life. Once Monsieur Pussycat was fully in the grasp of Madame Owl, it became apparent what Madame Owl intended to do with him. It was not robbery as he suspected, but something along the lines of food delivery, and he, Monsieur Pussycat, was what was on the menu. Hunting smaller animals like Monsieur Pussycat is a trademark of Madame Owl's family. They have barred owls, and once they've captured their prey, they fly high and then dropped it. We'll never know if Monsieur Pussycat survived the encounter, but one thing we do know is it gave us a beautiful and interesting picture from Minnesota in 2012. Cold? I don't think so. It was not going to be business as usual. Not today. He may have wanted to hunt warthogs, but standing before him was a creature he had not seen. Not even in the folklore of his people. Seeing the sheer size of the creature made his blood run cold. His heart began to race in ways he never thought possible. Was he safe? Was he going to make it out alive? Or was he merely taking his last breath? In the clip, We catch a glimpse of a family enjoying a day out in the woods, possibly on a camping trip. The father is most likely teaching his sons to fish, and it looks like your classic family's day out. That is, until the father turns his gaze toward the person behind the camera, his face displaying a perplexed expression. His eyes fixate on the bushes, and the person behind the camera, likely the mother of the boys, instinctively follows his gaze, momentarily shifting the camera's focus. Based on the look the father is wearing, it's evident that there might be something or someone out there in the bushes. At first, due to the poor quality and camera shake, it's hard to make out any details, but once you stabilize the footage and slow it down, you see why the man looks so alarmed. There's something or someone out there. And no, it's not a dog or a wolf or a bear. It looks human and walks like one. But given how dark it is all over, I'm tempted to believe that it has fur all over its body. Also, if you look closely, you'll realize it's hunched a little, which is reminiscent of a Bigfoot, if you ask me. Could they have actually seen a Bigfoot? If it's indeed a Bigfoot, why was it stalking them? Share your thoughts. For our next footage, we visit Fairfield, Ohio. I know you spotted the man running in the first few seconds of the clip, but trust me, it's not due to an earthquake or thieves on his tail. No, it's something much more ominous and sinister. Listen. Did you hear it? This guy has been hearing these spine-chilling sounds emanating from the woods, and he has no clue what they are. As the sounds grew louder and more terrifying, he made up his mind to gather some evidence. When the sounds resumed, he hurriedly dashed outside, hence why you catch a glimpse of him running. He insists those sounds were way more bone-chilling and nerve-wracking than they come across on record, and you know what? We believe him. One question remains. What was making that sound? The uploader of the footage believes it's a Bigfoot. What say you? Would you chase down Bigfoot if you ever saw him? If you answered no, then clearly you haven't seen this clip. A man was out with his family when, out of nowhere, he spotted an ape-like creature strolling down the street. It was brief, but it was enough for the man to know that his family was in danger. He quickly asked them to go inside, but instead of joining them, he pursues the creature into the bushes. The creature desperately attempts to flee from him. It swiftly dashes through the bushes, emanating peculiar vocalizations. It seems as if it were issuing a warning, compelling the man to keep his distance. The man persists in pursuit until the creature abruptly halts its sprint. Once it stops running, it starts pacing up and down with more aggressive vocalizations. It was almost as though the creature was contemplating whether to attack or stay away. While this was ongoing, the man realizes the creature was not as small as it looked from the distance. Now that he could see it up close, he realizes that it was at least 7 foot tall and had fur all around. Although it looked like an ape, minus its giant size, it moved like a man. At that moment, a light bulb went off in his head, as you can see in cartoons. He realized that he'd been chasing a Bigfoot. That sudden realization made him back off, and thankfully the creature was not interested in harming him. He might just be one of the luckiest men in the world. We came across this footage online. The uploader claimed to have captured a live ghost on camera. You can't imagine our excitement as we eagerly clicked to witness the ghost ourselves. The footage is what you are seeing play out now. Did you see the light hit the camera right before the being flew? Could it be a paranormal being that had mysteriously been caught on camera, or is it something else? Although we have a deep fascination for paranormal beings and want to believe every footage we encounter is authentic, a part of me suspects this may be an animal, a winged creature such as a bird or a large moth. But tell us what you think in the comments section. Back to the subject of Bigfoot, take a look at this footage. The uploader of this video was also going through the woods when he came across a being he didn't readily recognize. Although the uploader didn't disclose the exact location, the area was known for its serene and tranquil atmosphere. While the area hosted various animal species, they were predominantly smaller in size. This area was not known to have apes, yet right before him was this creature. Initially, he contemplated the possibility of it being a gorilla, but as he began filming and zooming in, it became evident that this entity defied any gorilla resemblance. It had to be something else, something much larger and stronger. He believed it had to be Bigfoot. After multiple viewings, we have scrutinized the footage extensively, yet its clarity remains limited. Based on what we can see, it's hard to tell if that's actually Bigfoot or not. However, it's worth noting that the creature's fur resembles that of Bigfoot, and its presence in the region devoid of any ape sightings adds to the plausibility of the Bigfoot theory. Considering these factors, the Bigfoot theory gains credibility. But tell us what you think. Have you ever moved through the woods and heard strange sounds? Not animal noises, but strange, ominous, and eerie sounds. Would you want to experience something like that? Well, the uploader of this footage did not have a choice. He was out exploring with his family when the sound suddenly started. With his camera already rolling, he made the decision to keep recording, aiming to capture the eerie sound. The sound itself doesn't resemble that of any animal, but rather a mysterious hum or the distant rumble of heavy machinery. This is where it becomes intriguing. No machine in the area could account for this peculiar sound. Residents of the area who saw the video commented stating that had any nearby factory or plant been the source of the sound, they would have undoubtedly heard it as well. Some individuals even dismissed the possibility of the sound being caused by downed power lines. Just in case you don't know, downed power lines also produce similar sounds to this. Some also pointed out that although no one knew the source of the sounds, there have been reports about such sounds all across the globe. Upon reflecting on this, we recalled encountering similar footage in the past and even uploaded a few of our own videos. We have previously entertained the suspicion that these sounds could be linked to extraterrestrial activity. However, it's worth noting that those videos are more recent compared to the footage under discussion. This was filmed as far back as the 10th of February 2012 by Antti Kraul in Finland. To think we have recorded such sounds in the US and other parts of Europe in the past few years is beyond wild. It's almost as though they were not random when were happening systematically. Given the fact that there's no plausible explanation for this sound, do you think some odd alien activity could be happening on our planet? Or is this an elaborate plan by some to gain the fair share of popularity? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Philip Spencer was your average big city policeman who'd moved to a smaller town for a peaceful family life. He had some time off, so he took his chance to explore the area. Now, mind you, this was as far back as the 80s. This meant no Google Maps, satellite, or anything that could make the adventure easy. He was highly excited about what he could find, but nothing could have prepared him for what was going to happen. While on his adventure, he was suddenly surrounded by cold and the damp Yorkshire fog. He might have thought it was a normal fog if the fog didn't seem like it was alive and following him. Startled, he brought out his camera to take a picture of the strange phenomenon. Once his flash went off, he saw something he couldn't explain. Before him stood a strange four-legged creature. Was it an alien? No, it couldn't be. Such things don't exist in the real world. At least, that's what he thought. Mind you, it was 1987. Whatever it was, the flash startled it and it quickly went out of his sight. No sooner had it disappeared, he looked up and saw two saucers that disappeared as quickly as he saw them. They moved skyward with humming sounds. In shock, He hurried to his in-laws' residence but noticed a lot of things were wrong. His compass was now pointing south instead of north, and the time was indicating 10 o'clock a.m. instead of 8:15 a.m. He quickly had the film developed, and what he saw shocked him. It was an image of what appeared to be a 4-foot creature with long arms and bluish-green skin, just like he thought he'd seen. You should be seeing the images right now. If you're thinking these are doctored, we don't blame you because we thought the same, but we quickly found out they'd been reviewed by Kodak Laboratories in Hemel Hempstead. They were genuine. Spencer kept having strange dreams after the encounter, and it took meeting a UFO investigator to finally understand what was going on with him. Regressive hypnosis revealed that the day he took the picture, he was abducted by aliens who examined him. They took him on a tour of their spaceship and then to space. They also showed him the impending apocalypse and many other things he would never share with any other human being. But now you have seen this video and do know about it. You might want to take extra care of yourself moving forward. Feeding is one of the factors that keeps animals in the wild aggressive. Irrespective of its species, every animal will, when pushed to the wall, do anything and everything possible to survive. This footage is absolute proof of that. The golden eagle isn't called the warrior of the sky for no reason, and these coyotes found out in the most practical way possible. The eagle had claimed its meal, and 2 coyotes thought it would be a good deal to chase it away and have it all to themselves. Like all good warriors, it stood its ground, and although outnumbered, fought the coyotes fiercely. If that doesn't intimidate you and tell you not to stay away from these majestic creatures, I simply don't know what will. When it comes to survival in the wild, predators typically have the upper hand, but there are instances, not many, but there are instances when the tables turn and the predator is at the receiving end of things, especially when it comes to mothers and their young ones. One such instance is what we see in this video. This leopard had been targeting a young wild beast among a herd, thinking it was easy prey. Leopards are quite powerful, but they're tactical too. Better to have a smaller meal with no injuries than go after the larger one with potential injuries. It had targeted the young one, but fortunately for it, Mama was close by. When the leopard launched its attack and pounced on the little one, Mama didn't hesitate to face it and give it a strong headbutt. A little something to tell it never to try that again. Females are often aggressive when it comes to their offspring and would do anything to protect them, even if it's facing death. But you and I know that it's only a matter of time until another predator goes after it and eventually consumes it. The owner of this trail cam footage believes that he actually got the footage of a dogman. He's a Sasquatch researcher who had gone in search of Bigfoot but ended up shooting something else, a dogman. The Sasquatch researcher went to a Sasquatch zone in the woods with hopes of getting a glimpse of one, but he ended up returning home disappointed. He saw nothing Bigfoot-related. His feelings of upset would, however, be short-lived when he notices something while reviewing the footage from this trip. He realizes there was a creature following him. There was a creature behind him in the bushes for the most part of the trip through the bushes, and the scary part was he never noticed. Not at any point in time did he feel he was being followed or observed, but he actually was. Zooming in on the footage, he makes out a snout hiding behind the trees a few feet away from him. Upon further examination, it was concluded that that was possibly a dogman. Now, you have to understand that these creatures are very dangerous, and this man was very lucky to have walked out of the woods alive. He might just be one of the few that have encountered this creature and lived to tell the tale. When the dead come back to life, the only explanations is zombies. Can the same be said for fish too? A man in China finds fish on the ground that's completely dry. It was so dry, it could easily break its fins off without a reaction from the fish. If that doesn't spell out dead to you, I don't know what would. But this seemingly dead fish just comes back to life once he pours water on it. Is that water the life-giving elixir we've heard about in legends and mysteries, or are we just looking at our first case of a zombie apocalypse? As much as I'd love to indulge your cravings and desires for the supernatural, I'd have to burst your bubble here. There's nothing zombified or supernatural about the footage. Instead, it's one that can be explained by science. They're a species of fish that would bury themselves in the mud for days or weeks. While buried, they're almost seemingly dead, but would come alive once exposed to water, which is mostly interpreted as rain. This is what you see happening in this footage. So, nothing supernatural. It's all perfectly natural. Next up, we have this trail cam capture from the year 2013, captured in North Carolina, which is quite disturbing and a little bit sad. In the image on your screen, you can see what looks like a little girl running through the woods. But why is this image so sad and disturbing? If you take a closer look at the image, you'll realize that her arms do not look normal, almost as if they're deformed in some way. And despite her having her head and face, she does look faceless. There are many that believe that we may be dealing with a ghost or spirit of some sort. If this is true, does that mean that this little girl was killed in the woods? Possibly got lost or kidnapped and killed there. Well, we can't say for sure, but anytime I see ghost images of kids in the woods, I can't help but get sad. Who knows what horrors they might have had to endure. This might be the reason why they are trapped in the woods and not able to find peace. It makes me wish that they're not true. Speaking of being false, there are some who argue that perhaps the quality of the image could account for the discrepancies. While that sounds plausible, there are too many things wrong to think the quality of the image is the problem. But as always, what do you think? Tell us in the comments section. Going back to North England, we have this trail cam capture from September 2010 that we'd like you to see. A man living in the area had been noticing the apples in his orchard were getting stolen and he couldn't tell how. To get to the bottom of it, he installed a trail cam and it captured what you see on your screen. Initially, he couldn't tell what he was looking at, but after a while, he realized it was a giant creature picking an apple from the ground. It's a hairy giant, almost like a giant ape. But that's where it gets odd, because there are no apes in New England. It took a while, but the owner of the footage soon realized it actually potentially captured a Sasquatch. Looking at the features in the image, although blurry, it has to be, right? Tell us what you think. I know we've featured the Dogman on this channel before, but I'm not sure we've done so with a video as spine-chilling as this. Two guys were staying in an isolated cabin in the woods when they started hearing strange and ungodly sounds. Curious and worried, they stepped out and their security cam captured what you see on your screen. If you pay attention to the footage, you'll see a large creature appear on the left side of the screen. It looks like it's got big forearms and a bigger body to match. The video quality is so bad you can't really tell what you're looking at. Some members of the online paranormal community, however, think it's a wounded grizzly, whilst others think it's a werewolf. But a majority believe that we could be definitely looking at a dogman. I want to believe it's one of these, preferably the Dogman, but as I keep watching the video over and over, the excitement wanes and it's replaced by a lot of questions. Why did the video end so abruptly if it's real? Why do the creature's movements look a little unnatural? Is this an elaborate hoax to deceive Dogman enthusiasts? So many questions. But what do you think? Talking about cold, what do you make of the following footage recorded on this snowy hill? These two friends were out for a fun ride on their mountain bike when all of a sudden their fun ride took a very scary turn. Was that the legendary Bigfoot standing no further than 400 feet away from them? The bikers couldn't believe their eyes, so right after they got home, they looked again at the footage of their bike cam. What they saw shocked them. A big, hairy creature walking like a human. Could this really be Bigfoot? They posted the footage online to see if other people thought the same as what they thought. Opinions varied on what happened that day. If you ask us, then we'd say that these bikers were very lucky that they did not disturb this beastly creature, because if it was really Bigfoot, then it could have ended in a very different way. This trail cam did not capture wildlife or strange creatures like we're used to showing you. Instead, it captured what likes to be an ordinary man with strange behavior. Not the good kind of strange behavior, but the very, very disturbing kind. In the captures, you see the man entering the frame, dropping to his knees and holding his head as though he were in pain or anguish. After a few minutes, he calmly gets up and walks away. We've no idea of knowing what went on, but in our experience with these trail cam videos, there are two possibilities. The first is that the man was suddenly possessed by a spirit in the forest. I know it may sound far-fetched, but if you've watched our videos long enough, you should know it isn't. The second possibility would be he had a psychotic breakdown, recovered, and walked away. I, however, do not believe this is the case. There might be something ominous going on in that forest. What do you think? Next, we have this very odd zombie footage. Now, if you're a fan of The Last of Us, this footage might just give you an adrenaline rush or send shivers down your spine. Regardless, the footage reveals a figure resembling a man moving in an uncanny robotic manner. To our surprise, it's venturing deep into the heart of the woods. For those familiar with zombies, you'd agree that this behavior is highly uncharacteristic of them. Typically, zombies gravitate towards densely populated areas. However, who knows? There might be a hidden village or something else intriguing deep within those woods. But who knows? Perhaps there might be a village or something in there. Personally, I don't think that's a real zombie, but then again, there's not enough footage to disprove it. What about you? Do you think it's real or is it a hoax? Taking a break from the paranormal, watch these majestic cougars walking along the Ghost River. It's refreshing, is it not? Well, they're a sight to behold from a distance. Encountering these magnificent beasts late at night or at any other time of the day might change your perspective. Not only are they big cats, but they are equally dangerous. If you ever find yourself facing one, don't ever turn tail and run. Instead, make yourself appear larger, create loud noises, and slowly back away while maintaining eye contact. If you run or feel intimidated, they might just become emboldened and attack. But whatever you do, don't explore cougar territory alone, especially at night, for it might just be your last. And for our last capture, we leave you with a lovely image of a husky interacting with and loving a wild buck. We can't tell where the husky came from or how it could know this buck, but boy are we glad that there was a trail camera set up to capture this. It certainly ranks high on the list of things you wouldn't have believed if there was not a camera to capture it. Either way, it's an odd yet beautiful friendship, don't you think? Thanks for staying to the end. See you in the next one.